agents themselves, is there a fear of them being replaced?
Exactly, that's the word.
What would you say the future holds for AI?
It's a bit exciting and scary at the same time.
Is AI going to be taking over the world?
Yes.
Welcome to the latest episode of Manifesto Talks, our podcast where we speak to our most interesting clients and collaborators. And today is no exception as we welcome Ash Parsa, the founder of Pixel Nest, the AI lead qualification tool. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
So I want to kick off the podcast by talking a little bit about your background and where this all came from.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. My background, so we moved with my family to Marbella from London 2.5 years ago. I lived most of my life in London, originally from Iran. Really, I guess the part that might be more relevant about my background, I always had a passion for technology and innovation. I remember from early days, when I was 14, I was putting together a computer. I was tinkering with early computers. I was making electronic circuits and kits. So that's kind of, I had that fascination with technology, innovation, and solving problems, which carried on to my professional career. So in London, I worked for digital agencies, working with big brands like John Lewis, Barclays Bank, The Works, on digital transformation projects. So really that's where I saw how technology can help grow the business, and I got more and more interested into the business side of things, on the commercial side, on entrepreneurship, which led me into actually a second career in sales. So then when I transitioned in sales, I worked with a lot of more like startup companies. I worked with a number of startups who scaled really fast. I worked with their sales strategy and growth, go-to-market strategies. And that's my background in terms of professional background. Why we moved to Marbella, really I was working online with clients in UK, in US, and I thought, why not move to somewhere warmer?
Don't blame you.
Yeah, the sun here. I was here 20 years ago. I learned some Spanish. I really loved the city, and that's why we moved here.
So how do you end up going into the AI field? How did that transition happen?
Yeah, good question. So when we moved here, I had various clients, and obviously AI came. My first experience with AI was, of course, ChatGPT. It was my real experience.
As it is with most people. Yeah.
2023, when it came out, and that's the first time I actually could see, wow, this really is intelligent. Like you can talk to it like a human being. It answers, it thinks, it solves problems. So I was immediately fascinated with it, and I could see the potential. As the more and more I got into what it can do, or how it can, as a sales professional, I could see various parts it can help automate to improve, and in terms of work processes, I saw a lot of potential that it can really help efficiency, productivity, and also better service.
So now that you've made your journey into the world of AI, what made you start up Pixel Nest?
Yeah, good question. So as a sales professional, I started using AI quite a lot. And as I was talking in Marbella, I was naturally getting to know a lot of people who are in the real estate industry. I could see quite a few people I spoke with, real estate agents, that were talking to me about how they're drowning in essentially wasting a lot of time answering unqualified leads, lead qualification, and all the inefficiencies around sales process, which I very much recognize. Again, I've been in sales myself, so I could see how AI can really help the sales processes. Like in sales, there's kind of the journey starts with the lead. An inquiry comes in from a website, let's say. You need to answer it quickly, and then an appointment needs to be booked. You do a presentation, you do a sales call, and then a lot of the time there needs to be follow-ups. Yeah, specifically with real estate, there is a long sales cycle. There's maybe 3 to 6 months before somebody buys. And a lot of the initial inquiries might not be actually ready to buy yet. So then there comes the follow-ups. And that's where, in this process, a lot of, let's say, leads can fall through the cracks. And I know that because I've been in sales, I've managed sales teams, I train sales teams, and I'm guilty of it myself when I don't follow up properly and diligently with every single lead because it takes time. You need to have the discipline. You need to follow up with all these leads that maybe not going to convert. For follow-ups to work these days, it needs to be personalized. It's not just sending cut and paste email follow-ups, email series. You can't just say, hey, I'm checking, are you ready to move forward? You want to actually do personalized. You want to nurture the leads. You want to give value. So all that takes time. And that's what I could see, especially in 2024, a lot of new advances and improvements came out with AI and new tools where we could really optimize and really let AI agents do those things. So that's really where Pixelness came out. So we really, with Pixelness, the main thing we are focused on is creating AI agents. So AI agents essentially are trained to do certain tasks. So unlike traditional, let's say, chatbots, everybody probably have had some kind of chatbot on the website, but traditional chatbots didn't have AI behind them. They were more like...
Would you say that the traditional chatbots, they're created using something called logic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What would be the difference between a chatbot using logic, which is what you usually see, compared to what you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, great question. So, like you say, logic is essentially programmed in. So, for these questions, ask these questions, and these are the answers to those questions. Or it can be guided conversation, like you have to select the answers. You cannot ask your own question. So those are programmed in. It's a logic. Yeah, it does the job done, but it doesn't have any type of, it's not personalized and it's not engaging. So that's why people prefer talking to a human being, because it's
Conversational.
It's more conversational, You're talking to somebody who understands you. It's not just a scripted, robotic kind of chatbot. So that's what AI can change now. And that's something I've seen actually very few websites actually implementing. The last time I checked a lot of websites, even here, very few actually using that. So with AI, you train the AI like you train a human being, like a salesperson, like an AI agent. Our AI agents, our sales assistant, is the one we're primarily training right now for real estate specifically. And so they understand the language in real estate, and an AI agent will be fully trained on the brand's voice, language, objectives, and specific needs. So that means that it can actually present your company like a human being. Talk, engage with customers in a natural conversational language. And having AI like ChatGPT, for example, behind it, it has all that knowledge base as well. And then you can decide if you want it to be...
it can be professional, playful, etc. There's so many different ways.
Yeah, and it can like go from a fixed knowledge base that you give it, only provide this kind of answers, or you can give it more creativity to use its own knowledge base, which is, the knowledge that ChatGPT has, for example.
I think, initially, and we'll get into it, later on in the chat, this all started, we used in the past a logic-based AI. We spoke with yourself and we looked at the pros and cons. The initial, the pros were that it does increase conversion. People still want that immediate feedback, but at the same time, it was looking at it can do so much more for you. So I think you're spot on with the fact that we're only at the beginning in terms of most local companies here may have some sort of use, but they don't understand the true benefits to it.
That's correct, yeah.
And I think that takes us nicely onto a little bit of the misconceptions of what people have currently with AI. What are some common questions or common misconceptions that you see with AI?
Right, good question. I think there are three main ones that I see a lot. I mean, the first one's going to be that AI is too expensive and too complex. One misconception is that only big companies have access to it. You need sophisticated technology, and it's going to be very expensive to implement it. But that couldn't be further from truth with all the advances we've had and how available it is now. And that's really our mission with Pixelness, to make it very simple and accessible to all businesses. So that's one misconception. I mean, it's actually, it can be very, very in a cost-effective way. You can actually utilize AI. And you don't have to, you can do it in stages, and we can go into that, like different applications of it. But you start small and then you add to it. Yeah. So that's the first one. Another misconception is that, there's a big one, is that, of course, and that's more like also a fear that it's going to replace jobs.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a very valid one. Of course, there's also why people are naturally might be a bit afraid of AI and it's going to take our jobs away. Now, with that misconception, of course, that's a big discussion in itself, but I would say AI, at least with what we're trying to do with Pixelness, it's not about replacing jobs. It's about empowering actually people by improving efficiency. It's about actually enabling people to work more effectively. So it's not replacing jobs, but actually people who leverage AI, they're gonna get ahead faster.
I think to give one of our common misconceptions that we get as an agency, it would be that all the time we're asked, especially with content, is this written by AI? Right? And we have a team of senior content writers which get pretty cheesed off with the fact that it's just taken as, oh, AI did this.
Right.
But what feeds into your statement, we use it to empower the content writers. Now, you have to work on everyone's on a time scale. So if we sign a client, as recently in Barbados, okay, we cannot guarantee that our content writers are specialists in every street name in Barbados, every zone. But what it does allow, something like ChatGPT, is they can use it and find out the key details of Barbados, find out the history, the little nuances, the cultures. So it's about using it as a tool rather than simply replacing, because what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah, exactly that. And part of that second misconception I want to add also, really the main benefit of AI, what we're trying to do with Pixelness, is to automate those mundane, repetitive tasks. So think about the more entry-level tasks, and it is true some of those jobs might go away, like some of the jobs that involve data entry or answering inquiries. They're more repetitive and mundane. Actually, not many people like to do them. AI can easily replace those kind of tasks. But that actually frees up, if talking in the context of real estate, what that's going to do is going to replace some of the mundane, repetitive tasks. How I was saying, as a salesperson, I need to be on top of it, respond quickly to every inquiry, follow up diligently for months even. So those kind of send out personalized messages, follow up with WhatsApp, all that stuff, those repetitive tasks, AI can comfortably replace. So that really empowers then your top salespeople to focus on what they do best, which is building relationships, closing deals, and having those more meaningful conversations. Yeah, so that's I just wanted to add that. And then that leads me to the third misconception also, is that AI is like set it once and forget about it. But that's not true, because AI is more about training it, giving it clear training, and also continue refine and improving it. So it's more like a collaboration. It's a bit like that's why we call it agents, AI agents or AI sales agents, because you need to really look at it as like a collaborator, like somebody in your team. And that's the whole point of AI, artificial intelligence, is that it can mimic human intelligence.
We're going through the process with yourself, and it's exactly that. We are training it. We've showed it all of the sales process that we do. It's combed through our different websites. We've given it different spreadsheets, information, and from that it then learns and takes that. And the other side of it is you can say what not to do also. So you can add the limitations. I think that's what plays into one of the misconceptions, that it's just going to go. It's going to do its own thing and make its own decisions. But it's a lot more technical than that.
Yeah, exactly. Very right.
So as we're talking about the use in businesses, etc., would you agree, and I personally think this, that businesses are in danger if they don't engage with AI and use its power, of being left behind? I think for me, it's something that businesses should be thinking about implementing.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I believe that specifically 2025 is going to be a pivotal year, I believe, because this is a year that companies who leverage and adopt AI are going to really excel and grow faster. So it's going to be a really important time, because let's face it, I know, like with any other technological advances or new innovations, there's going to be some resistance to change, but inevitably the companies who adapt, they are the ones that are going to survive and excel. and the ones who don't probably going to be left behind.
I think there's a lot to be said for the whole early adopters, no?
Yeah.
I was surprisingly, I was at a family dinner and we were having a chat, and I think it's in an industry of marketing, sales, etc. It's a given that people know what ChatGPT is, they understand AI, but for 90%, most people have never even come in contact with it. For somebody that's interested in it, interested in kind of just seeing its power, have you got any tips, or what could they start with? Is it as simple as type in ChatGPT on Google and then just interact with it?
Just for like personal use?
Just to have a go, you know,
Right.
we're having this conversation,
Okay.
and they might think, oh, AI, how accessible is it?
All right, interesting. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of almost, I guess my circle of friends, I kind of take it for given, like everybody kind of knows ChatGPT, but like you're saying, some people still haven't used it, I guess. Yeah, so that would be of course, there are other, ChatGPT was the first, essentially what ChatGPT is an app that you
It's
download.
the Bitcoin of AI almost, isn't it? It's the brand.
It's the brand. It's the first one. It's the one I use the most myself. There are other competitors coming out, including one from China now. But there is the Google one, there is Gemini, there are others. But let's talk about ChatGPT. That's the most advanced one.
User-friendly as well.
It's very user-friendly. I mean, the main thing with ChatGPT is, of course, if you download the app, you talk to it. You can literally talk to it, you know, like a human being. He understands you. So, I mean, these days, to be honest, I go more to ChatGPT than Google if I have a question, because instead of having to browse through multiple pages on the search results and then work out my answer, it just gives me the answer. Now, it's not always accurate. They do have a disclaimer, you know, check the facts and figures. It's not like 100% guaranteed that the answers are accurate. But in my experience, 99% of the time is good answers. It's very well formulated, and that's it. Any question you have, any problem you want to solve, it can write programming, it can do coding for you if you want to get into programming. Lots of programmers now use it to learn faster coding, computer programming. It can do a lot of the coding for you. It can solve problems, maths, give you information, you name it, anything it can do.
I think what's interesting is looking at how, from a sales point of view, it can be used as a tool. And as I said, it's not currently, I don't think it's replacing people, because there's a lot to be said for still having these in-person conversations. But as a research tool, even me personally has found it hugely beneficial as a time saver and to get rid of those mundane tasks, as you say. So a little example would be, let's say a client gets in contact with Manifesto. And they've, you know, it's not simple enough as that everyone just gives us loads of information about their company. Sometimes it's, hi, I'm such and such, this is my company, I want to meet you, and I've got zero information. So what ChatGPT can be used for, and what I've seen is beneficial, I can put in and give it a few prompts, etc., and a bit of a backstory. So I would use it as, hi, my name is Oliver, I'm the commercial director at Manifesto, this is our agency, here's our social media, so it starts to get a bit of an understanding for what we do. And then to say, this client has contacted us, here's their website, here's their social media, this is what they'd like to talk about, can you give me a bit of background history on their company and some ideas, etc. And I've found that it's not giving you the answers. It's not as simple as it just sells it for me, if only. But it is a huge time saver. You know, it's the sort of thing that 15 minutes before I can get that out, it gives me a full review, and we can, you know, sometimes you can even go through it. If somebody's, you know, up to date with AI and they enjoy using it, sometimes it's of interest to say, well, this is what AI says. And that leads me on to, I think, quite an important question. And I don't think it's going to happen in the short term, but do you see AI, ChatGPT, as an example, taking over Google as a search engine?
Right.
It's a big question.
I mean, I think it's, for me, that was the question I had myself. I think it's definitely they're going to take a market share. Is it going to take over? I don't know. I mean, you still need to browse websites and find websites. ChatGPT now has the option that actually it does search the web, and it can tell you, like, it looked up these different websites, give you the links to the websites. So it's doing the browsing. It is possible it's already taking some market share from Google, and it's probably going to increase. That's just my my guess. Well, who knows? Yeah, these kind of things are evolving really fast.
So what are things when people are using ChatGPT? There's these terms thrown around like prompts, etc. What is a prompt, or why would you use a prompt? What is that?
Yeah, prompt is how you ask ChatGPT question. Essentially, is how you talk to it. So the good news is that you don't need any kind of fixed prompt as such. You can, because it is called artificial intelligence because it understands language. It's actually what generative AI is about. It understands language, let's say English language and all other languages. So it understands, it can guess what the next word is. That's how it kind of actually builds up and comes up with its own creation. So because the understanding of language, really you can talk to it in natural language. That's the main thing. You don't need to memorize prompts as such. But prompts it's useful. So really, like you mentioned, anytime you want AI help, I give you an example. I use it quite a lot for example, editing my content. When I write blog posts, when I write LinkedIn posts, you need to give it a persona and you need to give it a context.
Yeah.
So it knows what tone of language and what is going to be useful. For example, I say you're a copywriter, you're an editor, expert on LinkedIn copy, and I want to write a post about the latest advances in AI. Write me a post, a short summary, and then some resources on what are the latest updates on AI. Write it in a tone that's conversational, not too formal. So these are my prompts.
Yeah.
I'm giving you directions, the context, and the persona it needs to be, and then it can write some really good posts.
Great. So let's have a chat about why we're here today, why we're sat next to each other. So Manifesto is really excited to announce that we're going to be partnering with Pixelness to be able to offer our clients your services. And I think let's dive into a little bit how our conversation started and the answers that your company had for some of the questions that we have. So it all started with a conversation over a coffee, and we were talking about the industry, marketing, how we produce leads, how we qualify leads, especially in the real estate sector. You know, our Marbella office is highly experienced, and that is one of the sectors that we specialize in.
Yeah.
So we started off talking about Google leads, etc. The fact that, of course, that is the highest quality of lead, and then we started talking more about Meta and some of the, I wouldn't say issues, but some of the difficulties that we found with the difference between Google and Meta. Meta being less quality because it's an emotive form of lead generation. And the fact that we'd actually had experience where companies wanted to try it, but they were afraid at the amount of leads they would get and that they were not set up to be able to pre-qualify the leads before they got to the sales agents. So the conversation started, and you said, look, I think I've got a way that my company can help with this. Pixelness can come in, we can build some automations, we can actually plug it in so that through the process. And I think let's have a little chat about using maybe Meta as an example, how we would see this whole process happening.
Yeah.
So from our point of view, we would create the ad, we would try and pre-qualify it as much as is physically possible using Meta. Then the lead comes in. So what would be the process from that point of pre-qualifying it so that the sales agents know that it's either warm, a hot lead, or look, this is something that you might want to look at, but you could discard it?
Yeah, great question. So that pre-qualification piece, that's going to be the first part where the AI assistant going to play an important role. So like you mentioned, you want to qualify leads, whether it's pre-qualified with Meta or not. Typically, in Meta or any sales, I've been creating funnels and work with companies who do advertising with Meta. Like you said, there's a lot of leads coming in. Typically, you would have a person then to qualify and set appointments.
Yeah.
So that qualification, you can have people to fill a form, but a better way of qualifying is engage them in a conversational manner, because people prefer that.
Yeah.
They're gonna actually respond to that positively. So that's where like a chatbot, that's an AI chatbot, can engage with them right then and then when they are actually interested.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they clicked on, instead of filling a form and waiting for somebody to call them back to qualify, ask questions, to book an appointment with them, AI chatbot can do it then and then. Now, you can do it in different places. You can have this AI chatbot on your website, on a landing page. You can embed it in Messenger, in Facebook, so they can go straight into a Facebook Messenger conversation. Or it can go into WhatsApp. So that call to action on your ad could be, click here to talk to one of our advisors or assistant, and immediately AI will engage with them like a real person, asking them questions, understanding their need, and understand if there's a good fit. If they meet your criteria, like you said, pre-qualify them, you want to, for example, qualify them on time, budget, fit, the AI can do that. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I think one of the big conversations benefits that we'll be seeing when we talk to owners of real estate agencies is the quality control side of it and the workload side of things. So from the workload, it's going to be working 24 hours. And then from the quality control side of things, they can put into it how it wants to act, how it wants to qualify the lead. It can talk about budgets, it can talk about when you're next going to be in the country to view the property, etc. And I think we're going to get to the stage where we're going back to is it going to take over and remove jobs? But I think for owners and sales directors, it's going to be extremely powerful and potentially smoothen up that sales process.
And again, it's about providing a better user experience for your customers at the end of the day. Yeah, what do customers want today? They want quick responses. If they come to your website or click on an ad and they have to wait a day for somebody to get back to them, chances are they moved on to the next website. Yeah, your competitor is one click away. So that speed to response time is very important. And you can't have somebody online 24/7. You could have the robotic chatbots, but they're not as good as we discussed. Or you can have an AI chatbot, which again engages with the user when they are ready. They could be from an ad, it could be on the website, browsing the website, looking for properties. They are interested then, they have time. If you say fill this form, somebody gets back to you, they might move on to the next agency, you know. Or if you say click here to chat with us on WhatsApp and you send a message and it takes an hour, somebody get back to you, again, they probably moved on and now they're gone to have lunch with the family, take the kid to school, it's too late. And
I think AI has no stigma attached to it in terms of it's not been battered by Meta leads to the fact that it now thinks, they're not good enough. You know, Meta is a form of lead generation that is somewhat, you know, I don't want to use the term needle in a haystack, but you've got to work them hard, and a lot of them, to reap the rewards and the benefits. Now that, for a person, can be demoralizing and can be, it's a Meta lead, it's not worth it. AI has no preconceptions of it. This is another lead, I'm going to work it, I'm going to treat it exactly the same as the one I just did half an hour ago that told me to stop because I'm not interested. There's no emotional side of it. And I think that's where it's going to be most interesting to see the application of it from our point of view.
Yeah, and it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be 24/7. You can have a live person 24/7. It's going to be very expensive. Also, it can speak any language.
Yeah, incredible. Whatever language you speak to, it judges it and responds in that language.
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT, I think, is 40, 50 languages. It speaks fluently. It has the full translation there. So those are the advantages, that you're gonna have. So and that also brings me, like, because you're talking about leads from Meta, like for example, Facebook ads. We've been talking about pre-qualification and qualification, which is that first touch point. But like you said, of course, specifically leads from Meta, they might not be ready to buy right now, but there could be potential for future. So you need to follow up with them. So that's the nurturing part comes in. The follow-up with leads. Again, it's a part any good really salesperson does really well. And there's a difference between a top sales performer and somebody who's maybe average. They follow up diligently. And we're talking at least 7, 11 touch points, maybe over the next few months before the person is ready to buy. This nurture process and follow-up, again, AI can do a really good job there. That's kind of part of what our AI, we're training our AI agents to do. Because also the AI has that knowledge from the first touch point, from the first inquiry. It keeps and stores all the information about this person. If you're talking about somebody want to buy a property here, let's say they're moving here, we know why initially from the very start when we qualify them, we know what they're looking for, what type of property, why they want to move here to Marbella, the kind of prices, what's the motivation. So we have that information, and then all the follow-ups will be personalized. That's going to be the key word here, yeah? Personalization is going to be the main differentiator between all these automated follow-ups now, like newsletters that are kind of copy and paste. It's not personalized for each person, and one that actually is personalized. So that's what AI can do, because every email you're sending, any WhatsApp follow-up message you're sending, SMS message, it can be personalized with useful information specifically for that person. Knowing what they're looking for, what they like, what they dislike, their personality. These are the kind of things that AI is really good at.
We did you've been to our office several times, and we did a test run with it. And look, it was incredible. Of course, there's different levels to it. You can have just the fact that it asks questions and pre-qualifies it, up to the point where it can actually phone you and have a full-on conversation. What I thought was really interesting was the use case that we went through, the process, let's say. So I was on the mock-up website, and I said, look, I'm interested in a 3-bedroom apartment in Malaga. This is my price range. We went through a whole conversation, and then we pretended that I had to go. Right, things have happened. I'm on the phone. I'm just doing it. And right, the train's come. I'm off. And what I felt was incredible was, of course, you can set up the timings, etc. But 5 minutes later, it called me and said, "Hi, Oliver. Look, we just had a conversation. I'm from ... agency, and you're looking for a 3-bedroom house in this price range in Malaga city centre. Can I send you some options that we've seen that we think are appropriate on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Just let me know if those fit. If not, we'll send you a few more."
And in this case, also it knew, because in that example you had said, we're moving to Marbella. You said, I need to speak to my wife. If you remember, then he said, when he called you, said, have you spoken to your wife yet?
That was it, I had to check with the boss.
What's your move going? Yeah. So he picks up the conversation.
To be honest, I don't think I would have known. It was extremely fluid, etc. Which is probably one of the things that we're always talking about of, our company's going to be up front with it, or are they not? I think we've always agreed that for user experience, there's nothing wrong with it being framed as, hi, I'm Alex, I'm ... agency's AI assistant, and I'm here to have a conversation with you, and then you'll be passed through to the sales director. So you are still giving it, look, if I complete this conversation, I'm going to get to deal with the person that I'm looking to deal with. But the whole speed and the ease of it was what blew me away. The fact that it could connect to their CRM, the database. It would pick out 3 window card listings. It sent it over to me, and I could have quite easily continued that conversation on WhatsApp at any time of the day, in any language. And and I think this is where agencies are really going to be interested in this.
Absolutely, and there was the WhatsApp part as well. So if you remember, also as part of that demo, if the AI agent calls you and you don't answer,
that was it.
Then it sends you a WhatsApp message.
Say hi, look,
and
it was
also
Alex,
it did send you then follow-ups up on WhatsApp, and it sent you a brochure with some property suggestions based on what you were interested in. So it does that as well,
I think what's important is it does it as much as you want it to. So there'll be some agencies that, they're on the hard sale and they want it following up 24/7. There's others that that's not their way of doing it. But it can be adapted.
Yeah, exactly. We train it exactly as we want
it. There's a whole setup process where you sit, with yourselves and ours, and we talk about the marketing we're doing, how that combines with it, the tone of voice, how you want it to, and they'll be taken through the demo. They can test it beforehand. And what we normally say is, these things are great in theory, but at some point you have to commit and have a go
Yeah.
at the end of the day, because we can talk about it, but trying it is realistically where you're going to see the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You want to see real business benefits. And there are case studies there. We know, for example, that I know real estate agencies that implemented it, and they've seen 70% reduction in time wasted with unqualified leads. Just the time they spent to qualify leads answering low quality inquiries, essentially. And they've seen 25 to 30% growth in revenue, just as a result of automating that piece. So yeah, there's real tangible benefit with getting this right.
Okay, from a cost point of view, you know, these things are all wonderful. They're not free. We'd love them to be. I'd love them to be, but they're not. Talking in a realistic, you know, cost point of view, depending on the size of the agency, the traffic, the volume of leads that they're getting, that's going to have an effect on it, on if they need it on 10 landing pages compared to one.
Yeah.
These things are the nuances that change the cost. But I think on a relative terms, it's more affordable than employing a telesales person to qualify them. And I think that's where we're kind of pitching it as it has to be a tailored proposal to yourself. There's no fixed rate. But if you look at it in terms of cost of employment of a person, it's drastically more affordable. But there is a setup cost. But the ongoing costs are drastically more affordable.
It will be 100%, yeah. At least 1/3. And also, again, just to remember, this AI doesn't need breaks or holidays and no sick days, and speaks multiple languages. So those are things to also bear in mind. Like traditionally, a lot of people, like you mentioned, call centers, a lot of call centers for cost saving moved abroad, like countries like India or other countries. Now this AI will still be cheaper than that, but also it'll be better trained, because this AI can be trained to be very proficient in sales skill, communication and selling skill.
Culturally, it can understand.
I'm a sales coach myself, so I've trained people on sales, and I can train this AI to follow a specific, very, very kind of specific sales process and methodology, and it can do a very good job of that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What would you say to, we work with a lot of not only the owners of agencies, but agents themselves. Is there going to be a slight fear of, are we, you know, the ones that are starting out in the industry that are doing those, that have to do the mundane tasks? Is there a fear of them being replaced? Or is it now, as they're learning and coming into the industry, they need to adapt to be able to use AI for their job?
Yeah, exactly. That's the word, adapt. And that's like any change. You can either fight it and be left behind, or adapt and grow with it. Same things happen with, you know, when internet came, when, let's say, online shopping came, all the brick and mortar physical shops were afraid that they're going to shut down. And some of them did shut down, had to shut down. We've seen big chains go bankrupt in UK, Debenhams, Comet. They couldn't compete any longer with online. But we also seen a lot of new businesses flourishing online who adapted well the online model and who started selling online. A lot of businesses who couldn't sell offline but now could easily sell online. So it's both sides, and which side do you want to be, so you can be where the thing's going.
So in your opinion, what would you say the future holds for AI?
Right,
it's a big one.
And that question fascinates me. I mean, I'm really fascinated. And nobody really knows where this AI could go. It's a bit exciting and scary at the same time, you know. We all seen the Terminator movie and AI taking over the world, so there's that fear. But for me, the future AI. Okay, so going back onto AI agents, so there's a lot of talk about AI agents, and AI agents are going to be more specialist agents that perform a specific task really well. It's a bit like specialist, but in AI function of it, AI model of it. And what we're seeing also is the emergence of now different agents collaborating with each other. So that's going to be the exciting part. We're going to see more of this year. We're working on it ourselves on Pixelness. So, for example, let's say I'm training one AI to be AI sales assistant doing exactly that first touch point, qualifying, booking appointments. Then we have another AI agent I'm training to be customer support. So it's also post-sales support, handling customer support inquiries. And then we're training another AI, potentially that's going to be the financial advisor, pre-qualifying people on mortgages, for example.
Okay.
Now, when we get these AI agents talk together, then we create a seamless, much more powerful, like a teamwork, almost the same way like we do within a team. That creates a much better, seamless experience for the customer as well. So that's a big part, the collaboration between the AI agents, and lots of good, exciting tools coming out around that. There's OpenAI coming with orchestration and other tools around that. The other one is autonomous AI. This is going to be an interesting one.
Okay.
OpenAI recently released called Operator. Essentially, it's going to do tasks for you, like things like shopping online, things like filling your expenses report, the kind of admin tasks, again, that you hate doing, but you have to do, and you do it online. You can have this AI operator do it for you. So that's going to be an exciting one. Doing some of the chores, and we all seen the robots going around, our houses doing stuff. And then another thing that I'm excited about, also is going to have application for real estate, is the improvements on the generative AI within the creative field. So we know, for example, how we do staging of an apartment. You create the kind of realistic models of furnitures. With AI, again, that can be speeded up. Like you ask a customer what kind of furniture you want, click of a button.
Be in the moment,
It furnishes it for you, and it's going to be photorealistic,
Wow.
all created. So that's also that staging, and the creative part's going to advance a lot this and next year.
So our final question is, we asked some of the Manifesto community to give us their questions, and by far the biggest one was, is AI going to be taking over the world?
Yes.
Well, there we go. I think we'll finish on that. That's enough for everyone. But Ash, thank you so much for coming, my friend, and keep an eye out. We're going to be doing a lot more. And where can people find you? LinkedIn, for example, a website. Where would be best to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Our website is pixelness.ai. We do some demos there, or connect with me on LinkedIn is the best place.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Cheers.